Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into a brand new rye whiskey for me. One that I've had on my hit list for a while. A bottle I've been waiting to pick up once I finally decided just pull the trigger. It's not a cheap bottle. But before we get into that, please do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And let's get into this bottle we're here to review today, which is Barrell Seagrass. This is a rye whiskey from Barrell. They make a lot of different whiskeys. I haven't tried a lot of them. I've tried their Stellums, obviously, and I've tried a few of their other bourbons, but I've never tried any of their ryes, and I've heard so much about this, and this one sounds pretty freaking interesting. So it is 119.3 proof, which is pretty hot. It's definitely not light, and it is finished in Martinique rum, Madeira, and apricot brandy barrels. So rum, wine, and apricot brandy, finishing in a rye. It is non-age stated, and it is roughly around $90, so it's not a cheap rye. Let's get it on the nose. That is so sweet. For something that hot, 120 proof, legitimately first whiskey of the day, I was expecting a little bit of bite. Instead, it's very sweet, like super duper sweet. It's, what's a good way to put this? It's kind of like, reminds me of like cotton candy and like pixie sticks. Like, you know those little white sticks that you used to stick in like the nasty ass powder that was like way too sweet? It reminds me so much of that. A little bit of like a strawberry on there. Vanilla pound cake. That is so nice. It's very powerful, but also kind of light. Like in a good way though. Like not like leaving me wanting more. It's just light as in it's not overly aggressive. It's just like, hey, you know you want to drink me. And I guess without further ado, let's get on the palate. Wow. So that is like nerds. The initial like palate, it's just an explosion of just candied nerds. Like the just ambiguous like mystery box type thing where it's like all of them mixed together. Wow. It's just an explosion of like fruit punch nerds. So much peach. So much like lemon, lime, citrus, so much like candied nerds, rich fruits. This is a very atypical rye. It's not so herbaceous or like grassy or whatever. There's kind of like a lemongrass pound cake in there. A little bit of like maybe an almond nuttiness, but it's mostly just that huge explosion of nerds. It's interesting. This is the most different rye whiskey I've ever had in my entire life. Like this is a very atypical rye. It's still kind of rye-ish. You can still tell there's like an herbal undertone in there, but it's not so, it's a very underlying theme of it. And the biggest theme is those finishes, that candy nerd, that explosive peach, that like citrus forward fruitiness. That is really freaking good. And then it finishes into like a lemon pound cake brandy, peach brandy drizzled lemon pound cake. About mid palate, there's just that spike of just peach flavoring, and then it instantly drops off and it just kind of stays as an undertone throughout the rest of it. Very, very good. This is a wild ride. Very, very sweet, sugary, candied, but also very kind of rye. This is clearly not a bourbon, which I think that kind of works out in its favors because it's allowing the rye to take a backbone, whereas like I think if this was a bourbon, it might kind of make it a little bit overly sweet. Like the rye flavors in the back, that like slightly herbaceous note, that slightly dill note is just kind of allowing this like explosive fruitiness and all the finishes to shine through, and just the blending of what they made here to shine through. I don't want to say this is my favorite rye, because this is a rye obviously, but this isn't a rye in the sense of what I think is a rye. This might be the most interesting rye I've ever had though. Overall, really freaking good. Atypical rye. So if you're like a big rye person, or if you're a big bourbon person and you hate ryes, like I just think this is in a whole other category on its own. And like, this is something you have to try to know. With this being one of the most interesting rye whiskeys I've ever had in my entire life, I think a fitting grade for this is a solid A-. I think it's really good. $90 is a little bit expensive, so if that's a lot to you, I would definitely try it in a bar beforehand. If that's not a lot to you, I would definitely pick this up to give it a try, because this is definitely a rye whiskey you would want to try. But again, $90 is a lot, and that's why I'm kind of giving it an A-. On the palate, if it was like $60, this would be an A+ in my opinion. But $90, that's a lot of money for a whiskey, even a cash strength rye whiskey, because you can get a lot of things like rare breed rye, you know, the Willet 4-year-olds for like $60-ish in my area. So this is an extra $30, given this is far more atypical and interesting. When I'm used to drinking those, this is a really fun thing to explore. A-. Overall, really good whiskey. The finishing is so fun, but again, be prepared to pay $90 to get a new ride, an interesting ride. But that's gonna be a wrap for this video. As always, do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you guys thought about this video. Let us know what you guys think about this bottle as a whole. Is this something you like? Have you tried it? How do you feel about those finishes? Also, check out the Instagram, Facebook, and our Patreon. The link for that is down there below. We appreciate y'all for your support. Cheers. We'll see ya later.